Imagine picking up a best-selling romance novel, beautiful lovers, steamy tension, bodies on display, and discovering halfway through that the whole point is to convince you never to have sex again. That's what an anonymous Christian author pulled off in the 2nd century. They took the most popular fiction genre of the ancient world and turned it into propaganda for celibacy. To understand what this text is doing, we first need to understand the genre it's imitating, and that genre is the ancient Greek novel. The ancient Greek novel wasn't a novel in the modern sense. Think of it as a long prose romance. 6 survived nearly complete, collected by scholars like B.P. Reardon, and they all follow the same basic plot. A young, elite, stunningly beautiful couple falls in love. They're separated, sheared by pirates, by jealous rivals, by fate. They traverse the Mediterranean, enduring one crisis after another, and everywhere they go, everyone they meet falls in love with them. The story ends with the lovers reunited, and the moral is clear: sexual fidelity to your beloved. These novels are saturated with eroticism. Authors describe beautiful bodies in lavish detail, skin, hair, eyes, the way light falls on a figure, and the plots constantly manufacture pretexts for nakedness, punishments, near executions, shipwrecks that strip characters bare. Now, this creates what scholars call the eroticism of the gaze, the idea that looking at a beautiful body is itself an erotic act. Right? The novels invite both characters and readers to participate in this looking. Right? You're not just reading a love story. You're drawn into desiring these bodies alongside the characters who desire them. Now watch what happens when a Christian author gets hold of this template. The Acts of Paul and Thecla is a 2nd century Christian text, not part of the Bible, but enormously popular in the early church. And on the surface, it reads like a Greek novel. Thecla is young, elite, and beautiful. She encounters the Apostle Paul and is captivated. She's separated from him and traverses the Mediterranean. She's stripped naked before a governor, before killer seals. Men fall in love with her everywhere she goes. The pattern recognition should be clicking. This is the same template, same beautiful heroine, same journey, same nakedness, same desire from every man she meets. But look at the final row. In the Greek novel, the moral is sexual fidelity to your beloved. In the Acts of Paul and the Thecla, the moral is complete sexual abstinence. Asceticism, the practice of severe self-discipline and abstention from physical pleasures, especially sex for religious purposes. The entire genre machinery of the Greek novel has been hijacked to deliver the opposite message. This isn't coincidence, it's strategy. But here's where it gets really interesting, because the text doesn't just copy the Greek novel, it subverts it, and the technique is precise. The author draws your attention to the body, to desire, then diverts it at the crucial moment. In a Greek novel, when a beautiful woman appears, the author lingers on her body, her skin, her figure, the way she moves. The Acts of Paul and the Thecla sets up these same moments and then substitutes different words. Where you expect a description of physical beauty, the text gives you power or message. The body is present. Thecla is stripped naked before crowds, but the text refuses to describe it erotically. Instead, it redirects your attention to the gospel she represents, and the Thecla's own desire follows the same pattern. She doesn't kiss Paul, she kisses his fetters, his chains. She doesn't lie where Paul is, she rolls in the dust where he sat. She gazes at him, the text says, as a lamb in the wilderness looks about for the shepherd. Every gesture Thecla makes is drenched in desire, but displaced. The fetters, the dust, the lamb's gaze, these are objects and metaphors of devotion, not romance. The text doesn't fail to suppress desire. It succeeds precisely because it keeps desire alive and channels it elsewhere. This is a common misconception. that the text is anti-body or anti-desire? It isn't. The body hovers at the edge of the reader's vision throughout. Thecla's nakedness is described. Her beauty is acknowledged. The text needs you to feel desire because desire is the fuel. Celibacy is the destination. And this leads us to the deepest paradox of the text. The anonymous author understood something profound about persuasion. You cannot convince young people to give up sex by pretending desire doesn't exist. Instead, you acknowledge desire's overwhelming power and redirect it. The text presents its audience with a stark binary. Path 1, accept the household. That means sex, which leads to birth, which leads to death, which leads to decay, and the cycle repeats. This is the trap of mortal life. Path 2, reject the household entirely. Choose celibacy, which leads to liberation from that cycle, which leads to eternal life. The eroticism isn't a flaw in the argument, it's the engine of the argument. You feel desire, and the text says, good, now point it here. So what does all of this add up to? The Acts of Paul and the Thecla is one of the earliest examples of a subversive literary strategy, adopting a popular genre's conventions to smuggle in a radically different message. It's the ancient equivalent of making a superhero movie that's secretly about grief, or writing a pop song that's actually about political resistance. The author knew exactly what they were doing. They studied the Greek novel, its plot structures, its obsession with beautiful bodies, its eroticism of the gaze, and they weaponized every element. The text was enormously popular among early Christians, especially women. Thecla became a model for rejecting marriage and claiming autonomy through celibacy. She baptized herself, she preached, she traveled alone. This text also reveals something profound about how desire works. It can be redirected, but never simply erased. The early Christians understood this better than we might expect. They didn't write dry theological treatises telling people to stop wanting. They wrote gripping stories full of beautiful bodies, dangerous journeys, and the electric tension of desire. And then they bend that desire toward a new purpose. The body is never absent from the acts of Paul and the Thecla. It's always there, shimmering at the edge of the reader's vision. That's what makes the text so effective, right? And so unsettling. It doesn't fight desire, it hijacks it. And in doing so, this anonymous second century author created one of the most subversive pieces of literature in the ancient world. A romance novel designed to end all romance, powered by the very thing it asks you to renounce.